Welcome, everyone. This is Edie from IndieFlow. I'm excited to welcome you all to our 9th industry session. And we have a really exciting chat today. We're going to be talking with Dorian Perron, the co-founder of Groover. So I see we've got a few people online. Let me know where you're tuning in from. Say hello in the chat. Let me know that you're here and excited about this conversation. What's up, Daniel? And also, hey, Dorian. And also, I just want to let those of you know who are not IndieFlow members, we just recently launched monthly plans here at IndieFlow. So for as little as $20 a month, you can get started with all of our project management, distribution, gig booking tools, and get access to our incredible community. So keep that in mind. We're here. I'll chat about it again later. Oh my goodness. All right. Now we got Eric, Chris from the Bay Area. I love the Bay Area. Eric's tuning in from Portland. We got Brooklyn in the house. What's up? And Remy in West Florida. Howdy to you, friend. What's up, Nate? I know Nate's probably tuning in from Detroit. Amazing. All right, y'all. Well, let's get straight into it. I'd like to introduce the co-founder of Groover, Dorian Perron. So let me invite him up to the stage. What's up, Lisa? Lisa from North Carolina? Okay, I'm in Virginia, so not so far.
Hey everyone. Hey.
Hey, Dorian.
Nice to meet you.
Great to meet you too. Welcome. We're so excited to have you here today.
And to answer your question, I'm from Paris, France. Like so in that
Woo-woo.
way. I'm probably the only French here for now. The French person from. It's so cool
Perhaps.
to see so many people from the US in the conversation from everywhere. Like
Yeah.
it's making me travel.
I know, right? Are you an avid traveler? Do you like traveling?
I like coming to the US. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
Cool.
cool.
Well, Dorian, I'd love for you to just introduce a little bit about yourself, maybe just a little bit about Groover and what kind of led you to create this space for artists.
Yeah, so I'm Dorian. I'm one of the founders of Groover. First, we were 3 people. Now we're 35. So it's grown a
Wow.
lot. It's kind of crazy. For now, I'm not really able to understand what's happening, but probably at some point I realize it's growing fast. We started actually at UC Berkeley in California. We were doing an entrepreneurship program. And before that, I had started an indie music blog sometime 8 years ago, I think, called
Okay.
IndieFlow. The name is a bit complicated, but it's about indie music, indie rock, indie folk, and stuff like that. I already knew there were like some kind of issues for artists to try to get in touch with blogs, knowing that it's kind of a small blog, and I was already receiving like 100 emails per day from
Wow.
people who wanted to get featured on the blog. And my co-founders, Romain, he's a musician, and he has started a record label with his father as well.
Okay.
And he really wanted to help musicians. So we wanted to help musicians. We didn't know exactly how. It was end of 2017. And so we interviewed more than 200 musicians and artists from kind of everywhere, a lot of them in France. So
Mhm.
with the jet lag, it was like early in the morning or late at night.
Yeah,
And it was super interesting because we
I
realized very
bet.
quickly that there was some kind of issue with that part of promotion, while artists were able to create, to produce, to probably kind of be able to release their music. But then it was like,
Mhm.
so what? Like, what's happening next? Um,
Exactly.
and and there was this kind of frustration about sending emails to a lot of people and not getting answers. And everybody was telling us like we'd prefer to get like negative answers than no answers. And so it led us to like create Groove. So first it was a Google form on a WordPress website with a PayPal button, like really. I would have never paid on this, like myself. Uh,
Uh,
but some people started using it, and the media outlets, the blogs, they were really enjoying the experience, this kind of community feeling. And we started a lot in France, in Paris, like trying to gather community here. And now it's growing kind of everywhere, especially in the US right now. It's kind of crazy. It's become like it's just this month come above France in terms of usage and in terms of number of
wow.
users.
Well,
Um,
congrats on that.
yeah, no, it's cool. Um, and yeah, so I handle all business operations and music operations. So I handle a team of like 15 people,
Mhm.
all amazing. And yeah, no, so it's exciting.
It sounds really exciting. Thank you for sharing that. And yeah, congratulations on all the growth that you've experienced.
Yeah,
So,
it's cool. It's exciting to see the new features on the website, to see that we're able to bring better value every week to more people. So no, it's really cool.
that's what it's about, bringing value to the musical
Yeah,
artists out here.
exactly.
So wonderful. Well, so, we kind of directed this conversation on playlisting because it is every artist has heard of playlisting. Some have tried playlisting, some have gotten scammed, some have had good experiences, bad experiences. I feel like there's a lot of information. So we'd like to get down to a little more of the like, what's the deal with playlisting and how can an artist, make it an effective part of their marketing strategy? So maybe we should
Yeah.
start with like, what is playlisting?
Yeah, of course. So it's a broad question, but playlisting. What is interesting is that it has become throughout the years, and it probably started sometime around like 2013, 2014. So actually, playlisting has have always been there. Like even on our iPods, we were like doing playlists of
Right.
favorite tracks,
Hmm.
but it has become really like part of the way people discover music, and like sometime around like 10, 15 years ago, and
Hmm.
it's been growing ever since. And it's become more and more important to be able to have your music featured into playlists, because it's actually now the way a lot of people are discovering music and also consuming it. So it's an interesting difference between how people are discovering music and how they are actually listening to music all day long, and
Right.
playlist is part of both. But and when you hear like sometimes about radio stations or stuff like that, they are still interesting mainly for this discovery part. And people will like the track and they will Shazam it, and then they will add it to a
Yep.
playlist on the streaming platforms and listen to it. So there's really like this thing about being able to be featured in interesting playlists. That's a big way to reach new audiences and
Hmm.
to actually grow your streams and be able to make a living out of your music at some point, and get more visibility around your music. So yeah, placing is key. And for me, it gathers everything related to for you as an independent artist, how you can actually reach out to independent playlisters, how you can reach out to editorial teams working at DSPs, and how you can influence the algorithmic playlist. So these three kind of playlists we can talk about later.
Yeah, actually, I'd love to know. I mean, a lot of artists I think are confused about like editorial playlists versus user generated playlists. I'd love if you could elaborate a bit on that. And also, I think a lot of artists think about Spotify playlists, but do other DSPs like Apple Music, Tidal have playlisting features as well?
Yeah, it's interesting. So most streaming platforms, most DSPs have editorial playlists, meaning people working at Apple, working at Tidal, working at Deezer, which is strong in France, not so
Hmm.
much elsewhere in the
Yeah.
world, and then Spotify. People who are working on creating music for their own playlist, their own place owned by Deezer and created by Deezer, created by Spotify, created by Apple, Tidal. So most of those platforms have this. Um, Most of them also have some kind of algorithmic playlist, which is less or more developed. Um,
Okay.
Spotify have a lot. They're the best for it. Algorithmic playlists are really the ones that are different for every user listening. So I actually
Hmm.
have, maybe I can show my screen. I have like a
Sure.
little, so I have this kind of the three types of playlists. So here you have uh,
Hmm.
editorial playlists. So Rap Caviar is a good example. Indie Chill Out on Spotify, but you also have these editorial playlists on a lot of platforms such as Deezer, Tidal, Apple Music, and Apple Music is really strong on this kind of editorial curation. These are kind of the most influential ones that are very tough to get in touch with.
Right.
You can pitch on Spotify for artists. Amazon Music also have Amazon Music for artists, on which I think you can pitch now for not so long. But
Okay.
most of the platforms, it's complicated because as an indie artist, you can't pitch directly. Only distributors can do it. So only if you have a distributor who want to support your track and pitch it to them in their contracts, they can do it. But for Spotify, you can do it through Spotify for artists. The other type of playlist is algorithmic playlist, and Spotify is probably the place on which they are the most developed. There's on repeat, release radar, discovery radar. There's Discovery Weekly, release radar. There's also like the top of your year, the
Hmm.
radios. So it's very developed, and it's really the ones you are gonna seek to kind of trigger, because you can't like directly put your track in kind of algorithmic play.
Right.
But the
Right.
idea is that if you good if you get good audience, if you get some traction, if you're able to reach some of the other playlists, the Spotify algorithm is going to recommend you to those playlists. Deezer also has some kind of algorithmic playlist, not as developed, but the same things can happen on other platforms if you get some traction. But
Okay.
the reason why we're going to talk a lot about Spotify is that it's probably the only platform on which, as an indie artist, you can have a real impact on your visibility and your streams. And especially for that third type of playlist, which is independent playlist
Right.
or user generated, or yeah, they call like, yeah, user generated, third party, independent playlists. All those playlists
They're
are
sort of like influencers in some way on Spotify.
definitely, we
Hmm.
say a lot curators, because it's
Hmm.
more about
Yeah.
how they're gonna create their playlist and choose the tracks they want to add in the playlist, and they are very broad. Like it can be some other artists, some DJs, some media outlets or blogs who have started a playlist at some point. And what is interesting is that it can be you as well. Like we have a lot of examples of artists who get a lot of streams from having that track in the playlist of another artist who has put it on their own profile. And it's actually one of the tips I can give you is like, if you like playlisting, if you like doing playlists, you should do some and associate them to your Spotify profile through Spotify for Artists.
Your Spotify
Um,
artist profile.
Yes. So
Okay.
you can do, if you have a listener profile, you can do some playlists. You
Hmm.
can make some playlists. You can do like a discography playlist, like all the music you did. You can also create some music you like, and of course put some of your music in it.
Hmm.
And then through Spotify for Artists, you can associate those playlists with your profile, um,
Ah, okay. That's
which is kind
something
of,
I didn't know.
yeah, it's something that's kind of interesting. So I'm gonna try to show you. So my desktop is a mess, but here, if you see, I'm gonna try to show you this. Who has one? I think Matthew has one. So he's an artist we've been supporting, and he has. So these are the big playlists in which he is featured, and he also
Okay.
has this kind. So sorry for the French here, because I have like the display in French, but it's actually the artist playlist, and
Yeah.
he has featured those playlists here. Like he has decided to do it from Spotify for Artists.
Okay. But he built the playlist in his non-artist profile.
Yes, he did it on his listener profile, but then
Got it.
on your artist profile, you can actually feature any playlist. So you can also feature an editorial playlist in which you've been featured, or a very cool third-party playlist. If you want to show it here as a playlist, artist playlist, you can. Like you just can link any playlist here in that section.
That's really cool. I actually did not know that. So what do you think people get wrong? Because I know artists have bad experiences with playlisting sometimes. What do you think are kind of like your beginner artists? What should you be watching out for? How should you approach, finding a reputable playlist?
It's an interesting question. Actually, one of the methods, I'm going to show my screen again,
Sure.
that is like the most effective to find what is a good user-generated playlist. So I was able to put it in English. It's going to be better. So here, if I go here, for instance, on this profile, like
Mhm.
very cool French band, they're actually living in LA, and they're doing some amazing shows all around, and so it's cool.
Mhm.
And a way to find some interesting playlists for your music is actually to try going in the fans also like section.
Uh-huh.
And there you can probably find some similar artists to you or to artists you like that are not too famous. So I wouldn't recommend to look at the playlists that have added music from artists who have like more than 100K or 200K or 300K followers.
Sure.
This is still okay, but like if you take like Taylor Swift, they will only have I don't know, they will only have editorial playlists featured
Exactly.
in their discovered on section. So you should like probably focus on an artist who has between like 10,000 and 300,000 monthly listeners.
Mhm.
And if you go, for example, like For Real is are definitely in that area, like with 60,000, which is already big. And if you look here in the discovered on section, it's only available on desktop, so not on your mobile, and only if you have the app. So you need to download Spotify on your computer, and you have that section available. And it's actually
Okay.
showing the top 50 playlists, which are generating the most streams for that artist, and they're
Ah,
ranked.
okay.
So here
So
you can
is that first playlist has the most streams for
yeah,
that artist?
it's generating the most streams for that artist. You don't know exactly how many, but you know that
Mhm.
like Soft Office, it's an editorial playlist. It's generating a lot of streams for that particular artist. But then
Okay.
if you go a bit down, you can find some interesting plays. For example, like Dunyat Ancestor is a very cool channel and playlist that is in Turkey. Very good curation, and you can see that they're quite highly ranked. So they're probably generating quite a lot of streams for the artist, or at least an interesting amount. And it's a good thing because like you can actually you don't have like a link to their like Instagram profile or I don't know, but you can actually try to reach out to them on Instagram and finding them on Facebook or I don't know their emails. And if you go a bit down, you can see I don't know here this one Listafina. He's really high here and he has a lot of followers. The followers don't
Mhm.
mean a lot, but this information that they are high in the list means that they are generating streams for the artist. And Listafina is actually on Groover, so you can get in touch with Listafina on Groover. But you can also
Uh-huh.
try reaching out to them on Instagram. This is a good way to try to find here Seki Streamer. Maybe you can try to find her profile somewhere. I don't know on Instagram, but it's a way to dig like some playlist that could be interesting for you. And a good way to do that is to go to the profiles of the similar artists to you and to your music and to your vibe, so that you find playlists that could be great for your music. And the way I see it is you can try to reach out to them directly on Instagram or Facebook, presenting your track in a very brief way with a small pitch. You can also use Groover to get in touch with them, of course. And another method that can be interesting is for you to create some playlists, try to grow them, and then have some kind of trading approach with them, which is totally like allowed by Spotify and everybody because it cannot
Mhm.
be traced. Which is like you have a playlist. You can place some music in your playlist, and in exchange, like a lot of those playlists are handled by like producers, music execs, artists, and they also have some music they would probably like to place in those in other playlists. And you can have kind of reach out to some artists on your scene whom you know have this playlist and propose to them to do like some trading or just be nice.
Okay.
Yes.
Amazing. Wow. So I love how you're really stressing the importance of research. I talk to artists a lot about research and using the tools you have to research. And Spotify, I mean, you just introduced me to a new way
This is a
to
very cool way to find relevant playlists. Yeah.
exactly. So tell me about, there are companies out there that say, pay us this and we'll get you 10,000 streams. Um,
Of
what would
course,
you
I
tell an
don't recommend
artist?
that.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's more than that. I despise those. No, no, no. I'm exaggerating a lot. Uh, no, but actually, if you go on a website and they're guaranteeing you streams, like we're gonna get you this amount of streams for that amount of money, um, it will in all cases be fake, because the idea is just to bring you streams. So what they do is they create like fake playlists that are voted, or they have people listening to them all day long, like the same
Like the same people.
user or same
Hmm.
individual, and they're just trying to bring you streams, but it's not engaged streams. So it's bringing you streams, it's bringing you a pick. Usually they do it like for a few days or for a few weeks, and then your curve like goes down, and this, like, Spotify doesn't like that at all. So they start like punishing you in the algorithm, and even sometimes they reach out to your distributor. And there were some artists that were like, they had their music removed for these kind of picks when people
Wow.
abuse it. Um, and it's a lot of money for actually getting some numbers, some streams, but not actually real people listening to your music or real audience. For me, it's similar to when you do YouTube ads and you don't target a lot, you don't target at all,
Hmm.
and you end up having a lot of views, but like all those videos you can see with 200,000 views, but 20 likes. It's like, this is just like people who have not targeted, and the video has been shown in preview, but people didn't connect with it. So the whole goal here is to try to engage people, and
Mm.
through third
Yes.
party playlists that are created, you can have something happening. But through people who just guarantee you streams, there's not like there's there's not a big guarantee of getting something out of it. um, Sometimes there are some people who make you pay and they actually have a very good playlist. It's forbidden by to place it, so to place your track, so, pay to place your track. It's
What
actually
do you mean it's forbidden?
forbidden by Spotify guidelines. So playlists shouldn't do it.
Mm.
Like, it's not. So actually, there's a gray line, but the idea is Spotify is strongly against in their guidelines someone making pay for placement, guaranteed placement in a playlist,
Mm.
which is very different to paying for consideration, which we do. Like on our side, it's when you're an artist, you're paying to contact people and for them to consider your track, small amounts of money, and this is tolerated. Like a Summit Hub, Groover are tolerated by Spotify, but services like who will make you pay for a guaranteed placement are not
Or a
yeah.
guaranteed number of streams, it sounds
Yeah,
like.
guaranteed number of streams. But even like if you get in touch with a playlist on Instagram and they tell you, hey, I'm gonna place your track for $100, this, if like Spotify gets to know about this, they can ban the playlist because it's against the guidelines. This kind of like paying for play. It's similar
Yeah.
to when people were paying to have a guaranteed play on a radio station, which is totally different to paying to have your music considered and getting feedback, but then the creators totally decide whether they want to share your track or not. And that's why
Right.
on Groover we really strong about not paying more the creators if they share your track. They pay the same amount whether they decide to share or not, and we'll never change that, um, because we don't want to incentivize them to try to accept everything and then end up doing pay for play, which is
Mm.
not good for their editorial line, because they end up not really choosing what they want to share. And what is that legitimacy if they start like sharing everything? Like, why would people listen to their playlist and their curation?
Exactly. Wow, that kind of moral compass makes my heart swell. I love
No,
so let
it's more about like, because it doesn't make sense at the same time. If we were doing this, we would be actually not bringing service to, like, a good service to the creators, and then not a good service to the artists, because we
exactly.
yeah, so it's because it would be troubling the editorial line from the creators, and then the the weight and the influence and the power you can get from a very good creator sharing your track and not sharing other tracks.
Yeah. And also, it gives the artist the opportunity for real and genuine feedback on the music that they're making. And I think feedback for an artist can be just as important because it can help an artist grow in their sound. Um,
Yeah, so yeah, it's definitely that. I'm seeing a question here that's interesting, so that's why I want to stress a bit the difference, because I see
yes.
if I'm from JB, if I'm being honest, that sounds like the same thing, just without the guarantee. So we have a guarantee on Groover that they're going to listen to your track and write feedback, but they're not forced at all to share it. So you can have some creators on Google who have like a 1% acceptance rate because they're very influential, very picky. You have some of them who are less picky, and but the big difference is that they are paid to listen, but they are not forced to share. So they remain totally
Mm,
independent on an editorial point of view because they're not paid more if they share. So it's like it's exactly the same they were doing before when they were receiving email, but they have an incentive to listen to your track and to consider it, which is totally different to someone telling you, pay me $200 and I will put your track in my playlist, whatever your track is. And you have
right.
some people doing that, and they end up putting like music from every backgrounds, every genres in their playlist just because people are paying a big amount of money and their creation doesn't make any sense anymore. I don't, do you see the difference, JB? I don't know if you do. For me, it's
I
yeah.
I was
You
going to
see.
say I see the difference of, so if I'm a curator, um, on your platform, that's going to create a much higher level of quality in the playlist that I'm offering, for both my listeners and those artists that I do say, yeah, I want you on here.
Exactly, and
Um,
it also strengthen the editorial line of the playlist or the media outlet to be very strong on the editorial line, and then they gather more audience that is more targeted and that maybe can become fan of your music if they discover your track throughout their playlist. And I see, yeah, no, it's good. Like, yeah, there's feedback. Yeah, JB. No, it's like we guarantee the response, but they can respond anything they want. There are some guidelines so that they're constructive, but they can accept or reject the track, and it doesn't change anything on their side. But what's cool is that because they're listening, they're actually discovering very cool music, and they're actually sharing in like 20% of cases, which is kind of a lot.
mm,
And with good tracks, you can get like a lot of shares and a lot of opportunities.
work on that music. JB is a very talented artist on our platform. So
And
JB,
I see a message as well. Sorry.
go, yeah, go
Uh,
for it.
which is like, I think I have a playlist for Groover that has a few users playing all the plays all day. How can I report to Groover? You can use the chat icon on the bottom left corner of the website. And you can definitely tell us who it is and why you think that and everything. And we'll definitely check. We have a specific team dedicated to that, like to handling the creators, 2 people working full time on that, on accepting new curators, controlling the activity. Sometimes we have some we don't know exactly, and but most of the time we vet them hard, and when we discover like a wrong behavior, we kick them out.
Mm, great. Quality control.
Yeah.
So tell us a little more about Groover, because I know, we're talking about playlisting, but I know Groover offers other opportunities. And maybe you could give a brief overview of kind of like also the price point and how the artist gets kind of set up to use your site.
Yeah, of course. I can show you, make a short demo. Um,
Perfect.
so to show you a bit more how it works. So I'm connected on an account, on an artist account. So you have your homepage here, which is really the place where you can find your campaign drafts and a bit of like, yeah, the new comments on Groover or specific opportunities, because we also organize some free call for applicants for you to play at specific events. We actually have one with a cool showcase in New York City right now. So if you want to apply, like definitely go for it. Same about a very cool event called M for Montreal in Canada, and they're accepting submissions from artists in the US. Don't hesitate to have a look at it. We had like 5 ones, really cool ones going on right now at the same time. Like I'm not sure
Amazing.
we had yeah. So this is cool. This is like a free opportunities we try to bring to you. Um, then if I want to start on Groover, the main thing is to click on like the big orange buttons. So add your track or start a campaign, which do exactly the same, which is showing you the tracks you've already submitted, or you can also submit a new track. But if I take, for example, Civil Lining, what we ask from you is the real estate, if you have it, but you can keep it empty, the language. Then we ask you for YouTube or SoundCloud link. We need one of those because they are the only platforms on which you can freely listen to music, even when you're not subscribed or you don't have an account. So this is why it's important to have at least one of those, and especially because media outlets, they usually require one of those if they want to share your track. It can be a private link or unlisted, and you can definitely, if your track is not released yet, for instance, and when it's already released, you
Okay.
can use the Spotify link, of course, here. But not only, you still need like a YouTube or SoundCloud link, because we're going to show the player on the other side to the creators.
Okay.
Then we ask you what your goals are. So we right now we're reshuffling all our filters, which is really exciting. The display is going to be much more usable in like a few weeks time. But for now, we ask you what you trying to get. Like, do you want to get visibility, or do you want to find collaborators? It's here,
Hmm.
if you're promoting your track, I suggest you select that, and then we ask you if you have a specific budget. Most of the time, I do. I don't have a specific budget because I don't already know. Like, most artists don't exactly know how much they want to put
I
in.
was
And
gonna say, what would a good budget be for a beginner to emerging artist?
so I'm gonna share you a link if you want to dig in this. But what we've seen is that it's funny because like the more you put on your campaign, the most satisfied you're gonna be, because in a way you really get the value of Guru through getting a lot of responses and a lot of replies. So we're
Oh.
seeing
Hmm.
some kind of threshold which under 30 contacts, people don't really get the value of Guru, of like getting a lot of feedback. And all the times when people have spent like more than like 50 or 60 euros, so getting 30 contacts, for instance, or 50 contacts, 50 responses, they really get it and they love it. So it's I'm sharing this, which is explaining a bit about what budget to put. The
Perfect.
average Uber is around 50 euros per campaign, but we have people who really spend a lot more, and we have people who spend a lot less.
Hmm.
It's starting around 10 to 20. It's 10 right now, but we thinking about raising a bit the minimum pricing because of that reason, because the
Yeah.
fact that when you're only contacting 5 people, you don't really get full value. If someone is not answering, two of them are telling you like the music is not what I'm looking for because it's not in my style, and you have like one share, like, why did I spend 10 euros or $10 for this? While if you spend like 50 or 60, like you're getting 30 response, 30 replies, a lot of opportunities, a lot of good advice, you're really getting more. So that's why I'm sharing this article, which explain a bit how to allocate your budget.
And isn't
Um,
a submission is like it's like €2 per submission or something like that on Groover?
exactly. Except 3% of them who are top curators and cost a bit more. They cost between
Okay.
4 and 6. Most of them
Mhm.
4. Uh, and but it's only 3%, but they are the most influential ones on Groover. But some very influential ones are not at 4; they are at 2. It's not
Yeah.
like an absolute rule. It's more they're part of a program in which we coach them to give good feedback, and also they are like they're much more influential than some other ones that are on Groover. But we vet everyone. Like, we refuse, I think, between 80 to 90% of application to join Groover on the creator side. So we really like picky about who we're choosing.
Okay. That's good to know.
And you
Right,
can
Chelsea?
use here the filters. Yeah, sorry, tell
I
me.
just wanted to shout out to the artists here because that's such a reasonable price point. €2 per submission. You're spending 50 to 60 euros. You're going to get feedback from at least 20 to 30 curators. That's more people, I think, than a lot of artists get to listen to their music when they're releasing. And I just want to let y'all know again that with IndieFlow monthly plans, you can sign up for IndieFlow for only $20 a month. So you can organize those releases and distribute that music. So
Yeah. Yeah, and I think you have a special like discount code at the bottom of the screen for Groover as
we
well.
we do.
Yeah.
Yes, that's right. I have a discount. We have a discount code IndieFlow Special VIP. It's right down there, that green button under our screen, and that will get you 20% off, I think.
Yes, so it's
Yes.
very special. We never do this usually because because we're losing money when we do that. But the
Thank
reason is
you.
like it's 20% that you can apply on your campaign. And if you use it before the end of the month, before the end of September, but and if you use it afterwards, it will still work, but it will be a 10% discount. So
Okay.
if you have a campaign to send this month, like don't hesitate to use this code. It will give you a 20% discount on that particular campaign. And of course, the more you select contacts, the more you will get out of it because it will allow you to get in touch with more
Yeah,
creators.
absolutely. I have a question about the timeline in terms of like when to contact these curators versus when I'm releasing music.
This is another very good question, and I have another article for this because it's a
All
question we get
right.
a
Yeah,
lot.
I bet.
So I was trying to get it for you to send you the link. So
Perfect.
about when to send your music on Groover. So actually, what we say is the best, and what we do is sending on release day is really nice.
Hmm.
Um, Especially if you're targeting playlist Spotify playlist creators, you should wait until release day because that way you have the Spotify link, and if
Okay.
they like it, they're gonna add it to the playlist. While if you send it before and you don't have the Spotify link yet, it can be a reason for them to refuse the track, which we don't want
Ah,
here.
okay.
But if you get in touch with radio stations or media outlets, you can try to get in touch with them before. Especially, you can contact them a week or 2 weeks before. The timeline is very short. And also very important, you can definitely send a campaign for a track that has been released for a few months or more. Spotify, place creators, and a lot of the media outlets, radio stations, record labels here, they don't care when you actually released your track. If they do,
Oh,
it's
wow.
written
Okay.
on their profile, so you will know. If you put your release day, we will tell you if they want to only receive like unreleased track or stuff like that. But
Hmm.
most of the time, they don't really care. So you can really send a campaign even for a track that has been released for like 2 months, 3 months or more, and get some great
Okay.
results.
Very cool. All right.
Do you want
Okay,
me to
let's
just
continue.
go
Yeah,
through the rest of the demo? It's only very short. Uh,
absolutely. Yes.
so here you can have access to the profiles of the creators with their stats on the platform, and also all the tagging that was made from what they want to receive. So here, Brazilian music, etc. Um, and if you have already gotten in touch with them, you have um, access to the interactions you got with them here. So I'm going to try to find one. So here, for instance, if you have already contacted Sun and Vision, you will get access to this part, like your interactions with Sun and Vision, so that you can see what they answered to your previous tracks.
Okay.
So then if I select here view, just to go to the next step, here, so we recommend a few other creators based on the ones you selected.
Hmm.
Then you can personalize your message. So here you can put a pitch for your track. It's basically the same thing as on Spotify for artists, trying to have some kind of something very catchy, presenting the track. Don't hesitate to put again the links to your project here. It's going to be sent to all creators in pros, and then you can write a personal message on top. It's not, you're not forced to do it, but if you have some of them you really want to target for a particular reason,
Hmm.
you can definitely use that section to send them personalized messages. Then you can go to your track recap, check that everything's good. And then here you can apply the promotional code, so IndieFlow Special VIP, if you want to get 20%. But I really recommend you select more than like 10 contacts, otherwise it's really a miss on this, because like 10% of I think it doesn't even work if you select only 5. But if you select like 10, 20, 30, 40, it will have some impact and reduce the cost of your campaign. And then you can
Okay.
click to go to the payment page. I'm not clicking here because I already have like some credits in the wallet, and I would be like sending some random track to some random creators here. But then you can go here and have access to like the payment page, and proceed with it.
Okay.
And then of course you get all your results in that section, my campaigns, which
Mm-hmm.
we revamped not long ago. Here you can filter by track and even by which campaign you sent, um, and you get all the results here. You can filter by the status of the the submission. So here all the shares and here all the feedback. So you see that he had almost like a 50% acceptance rate on this track, which is really high.
It is.
Um, and yeah, and another advice I can give you is to really fill in your profile, hot news, the bio. Choose the music genres. Don't choose too many. I
Okay.
recommend you choose between 2 to 3 max. Otherwise, the recommendations when you're doing your selection are not going to be very good, because like the algorithm is not going to be able to tell which kind of music you do. So it's going to be complicated to recommend if you select too many.
Okay.
But
So I'm hearing be genre specific, fill in your profile. And then also it seems like you all have a platform that it's easy to identify what kind of playlists or
yeah,
contacts you want to make based on
yeah,
what you're
in the
looking for.
filters,
Hmm.
yeah, in the filters that I didn't show, which is gonna be revamped. I can't wait for it, but it's still working that way. I can show you. Here you have access to you can filter the list by music genres, also by types of creators. So you can also like focus only on playlist creators, for instance. And
Hmm.
you can also even use this badge, which is certified Spotify playlist. These are playlists that we are sure generate a lot of streams and have a very good curation line. And the other ones are also vetted, but they're more like, they're cool playlists, but they're not yet there. It's more
Sure.
like so they're generating streams, but maybe not enough. So we're trying to have like this kind of distinction here. So don't hesitate. Like if you're focusing on, you have a budget, you have a very strong track, you want to focus on like very cool Spotify playlist, you can use this badge. And if you want to broaden your horizons, you can also check the other playlists which are also good.
I like the filter feature a lot.
Yeah, and you can filter through countries as well. And this is going to be displayed all here. And you also have the search bar here, which is really useful if you want to type the name of the creators to see that here. For instance, you
So,
can do that.
so artists who want to be touring in Europe in the future can start now by marketing their music to playlisters and media outlets and
Yeah.
curators in that area, right?
Yeah, you can go here, you can go in Europe, you can go to see only French ones, for instance. We're really strong in France, in Italy, in the UK, in the US, in Brazil, and we also have some other countries with a quite significant number of curators that are currently active that you can also check, like Spain, Germany. So no, yeah, it's starting. We're starting to have a lot of curators, like 1,700 here.
Wow.
It's strong. They're
Are,
active.
are
Yeah.
there any particular genres that you feel do, better or have more opportunities on Groover than others?
Um, Niche work great. So I would tend to say no, because like even
Mhm.
if you have like neoclassical track, you can get a lot of very cool playlists for Groover. But we're really strong on indie music, indie rock, indie pop. It's starting to be really strong on electronic music as well.
Okay.
French rap, we're good on it, and hip hop. It's starting to grow.
Okay.
But then if you do jazz, you can also target some jazz specialists and get your track on those.
Great. So I see that we have some questions in our Ask a Question. So why don't we get to some of the audience questions that we have?
Okay, perfect. Maybe
All
you can
right.
choose them.
Yeah, so I'll pull it
Yeah,
up.
that more
So
interesting. Yeah.
it's our feedback submissions based on the particular song. And I think you'll be able to see these too, Dorian, if you click on the Ask a Question button at the bottom of the screen.
Yeah.
Um, our feedback submissions based on the particular song at submission or the artist. To clarify that question, is your feedback solely relating to the song or the song and the artist?
It's mostly on the song because on Groover you need to push one song at a time. So it's gonna
Mhm.
be a judgment based on that. But usually what happens is that when they like your track, that's why it's important to fill out your profile. They're gonna dig your music and try to check more about your project. So it's mostly about the track itself. So sometimes you have someone, a creator who likes what you're doing, but they feel that maybe not this track, but they would be interested to listen to more. We've seen that multiple times. You can still consider them as maybe they will be interested in your music in the future tracks. So it's mostly on the track.
Okay. Okay. Um, and whoops, let me see. I know Laura asked, any tips on how to write a good pitch? So
Yes,
contacting
you're asking
these.
all the questions I have an article for.
Oh
So
my
go on.
goodness. So
Um,
grateful for all these resources you're dropping on us, Dorian.
yeah, I'm putting I put like a bit of examples of what is important. What is important is to be like concise and
Hmm.
informative. Put the most important things about your track at the beginning, in the beginning, and try to be catchy and really give some kind of um, like for people to listen to your track. What's cool with Groover is that people focus first, the creators focus first on the track. So the
Mm,
pitch is of like secondary importance, on the contrary of like when you're sending an email, because people are going to listen to your track. Like when you
right.
contact them on Groover, but still, it's important to have a good pitch because it can give them some yeah. I think I shared it, like write the perfect pitch for your campaign. And the
Yes.
idea is really to try to attract them in your universe and give them the wish to know more. Yeah,
Okay. Can you pitch an EP or album for anything on Groover?
I'm thinking it's gonna be tough. No, but for example, I talked about For Real just before. I think you can, in this pitch, I can like do you the pitch like this, but the idea would be to include like something like um, about the universe and the uniqueness in the beginning. So
Mm-hmm.
they're some kind of duo. They do a lot of visual stuff. It's very like Andy Warhol kind of arty with their music. So it would be something that would show that it's kind of a weird and very unique project. So it would be like in the first sentence. Then you can add some kind of influences or some kind of artists that are in kind of the same scene. You can talk about Foxygen or some other people like that. And then if you have a very strong news, so I know that they're opening for Wet Leg soon, like all
Mm-hmm.
around the US and for some other bands in Europe, or playing a very big festival. It's something you can put here. And then what's important on Groover is to tell them where you're going. So for example, if it's a single and it's a single for an upcoming album, I would
Okay.
put some information about the fact that it's part of future album that's going to be released on that specific date, on that specific month. So you give context.
Okay. Got it. So that's kind of how you can share about an EP or album project
Yeah,
more like in your pitch rather
yeah,
than
yeah, exactly.
rather than sharing the whole project.
Yeah, if you
Okay.
have an EP on album and you want to use Groover to pitch the single that's part or track that's part of it, you can also add a link to your album.
Hmm.
Um, you can also add a link to your album and in the specific field, and also put it in the title track that's going to be an album, and also on the profile is definitely something you can do.
Okay. Awesome. All right. I think we have looks like another question here. What would be a good strategy with which to approach playlisters when your genre is difficult to pin down?
I see that question. Yeah. It's tough because what you can do is try to check some of the genres you think are good. Don't hesitate to ask around, to try to see. So the idea is not about like really what the music, the genre of your music is how external people gonna perceive it. So most of the time when I talk to people who have like some kind of hybrid genres, they say, "Oh yeah, I have a bit of jazz, I have a bit of this, I have a bit of this." But I'm like, okay, but someone listening outside the media outlet, what would they say first? Um,
Mm,
and do you think that, for example, if you have like 15 seconds of saxophone on your track, does it suffice for jazz media outlets to be interested? You see, it's more about that. It's more about um, what do you think is the main thing, like the main
mm,
current coming
the
out from
main
it,
theme.
the main currents. If you have trouble defining the genre for Groover, we have the chat icon on the website that you can use.
Hmm.
Don't hesitate to send us a listening link, and we can help you direct you to the
Oh,
right genres we think. So we quite responsive. We're based in France, so sometimes on like US time we're
sorry.
sleeping,
Yeah.
but we tend to be super reactive and we respond in 24 hours maximum, and most of the time we respond like instantly or in a few hours. So don't hesitate to send us a message on the chat icon on the website.
Okay, that's great. That's a great answer. Well, I don't, let's see. Anybody else, feel free to throw, we've just got a few more minutes left, but feel free to throw any additional questions into our chat or into the question and answer. Let me just double check my questions over here, make sure we've gone
Mhm.
through all of them, which I think we have. Um,
And yeah,
yeah.
don't hesitate to like note the code at the bottom of the screen if you want to use it, because even if you have already used Groover, you can use it. So it's really good opportunity to save some bucks and
Yeah.
also get in touch with more people than you expected in the first place.
And we'll send an email out to everyone who registered for the event with the discount code, along with, again, a link to sign up for IndieFlow if you're not already a member. We just launched those monthly plans at $20 a month. So it's really easy to get
Cool.
started and try it out.
Really cool.
Um, and okay, this is a fun question. Who is an emerging artist you're excited about? Put us on to someone new.
So I'm gonna know like first, like I'm gonna find another one, but the artists I showed you like for real,
Yeah.
they are really good. Like you should really listen to their music. They're kind of amazing.
Hmm.
I discovered them at South by Southwest,
Oh
and they
yeah.
were like playing there, and it's amazing. They don't have instruments or musicians with them. They just like play on like a recording, but they do some like dancing and weird stuff, and like no, like everybody like loves them on stage. Oh, I see French rap, like a
Oh
cool
yeah.
French
Put us
rapper.
on.
I have one for you. It's French rap, but also with a taste of pop. So it's not like very like street rap,
Hmm.
because we have like very street, very raging rap here. Like because it's crazy. Like French rap in France, like the top 50 is only rap. It's like French rap, only French rap. It's
Wow.
crazy.
What are the top
But
genres
I
that
have this
French?
to recommend.
Okay.
Alvin Chris. Yes, please. No, Booba. No, Alvin Chris is great. He's not very big yet, but he had released a very nice EP, and it's super cool to listen to. Um, I have another one that is more contemplative, more like chill, which is
Mm,
Nedelko. Um, and yeah, these are two ones I really like right now. They are more like indie and underground, but if you look and if you want like some kind of like star French rapper that is really cool and very different from Booba, which I also like, it's Lompal is really good.
amazing.
He's huge, but he's really good, really good.
Thank you for sharing that. And everyone, those our chat, if you come back to this link after the crowdcast has ended, our chat will still be there. The links that Dorian has shared will still be there. So you have access to this information.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm curious now, like, what are the top genres you think that people in France are listening to?
So a lot of people are listening to French rap, to be
Mhm.
honest, but pop is also really strong. And what happens a lot is that pop artists are starting to really put some more urban sounds and more and collaborating with some beat makers who are usually collaborating with rappers and kind of mixing it. So it's probably something that's been going on for a long time in the US.
Yeah,
And it's kind of new like for a few years in France, like because there was a clear like difference between like um a popular music and rap, and now like rap is the new popular music here.
right.
And so when you do indie music, indie rock, indie folk, you're more on the like on the bench,
Mhm.
but still there is it's niche that people are really enjoying. And it's fun because there's a big difference with live shows. When you go to a live show, when you go to a festival, the ones who are the most successful, the ones which are the most successful, are the festivals where you have like a very cool like rock band or
Yeah.
a pop band playing. So it's fun to see the difference. There's a big festival in Paris called Rock en Seine, end of August. And
Mhm.
sometimes you at some point you come to Paris in August. End of August, Rock en Seine is amazing, amazing festival.
Wow,
It
okay.
was really a rock festival, and it was like probably the biggest festival we had in France this summer. So
Amazing. Well, thank you for sharing those artists with us. I look forward to checking them out, and I know
that's
some
cool.
people in the chat do too. So,
Perfect.
Dorian, I really just want to thank you so much for taking
Welcome.
this time to spend with us. It's really been a pleasure, and you are a wealth of knowledge, and we just appreciate you sharing it with us.
Thank you very much for attending. And it was a pleasure exchanging about this. And don't hesitate to reach out through the website and the chat if you have like any question or anything. And thank you for IndieFlow for inviting me. I've been trying out the demo, and I love the approach. I love how it could be at some point something that's gathering a lot very cool tools and services, and a way for artists to much simpler like manage their career and their tools. So
Yeah, yeah,
it's
and we've
really
got a
cool.
lot of, just like you all, we've got a lot of things coming up in the
So
pipeline
cool.
to,
That's
improve
so
and
cool.
change. So we'll grow together.
Perfect.
So amazing.
Congrats.
All right,
Yeah.
Dorian, have a wonderful day. Thanks again.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Bye.
Bye
Thank you,
bye.
everyone. Thank you.
All right, everyone, have a wonderful rest of your day, and we'll see you at the next industry session.